So welcome to 7 Prophecies of the Future, a future studies program series that will take you on an interdisciplinary journey or transdisciplinary journey of discovery into the unknown. Each episode will invite 2 guests who will act as oracles and reveal a secret password to enter a realm filled with poetic images and intriguing phenomena. All oracles are part of a wider divinatory speculative endeavor, the Future Studies Program, and will be sharing their premonitory visions of the future on the occasion of the Venice Biennial Italian Pavilion Project. I, Andrea Cedruda, will be guiding you through corridors that lead us to these oracles of futurity. On this episode, we will enter the dimension of the hybrid, the monstrous, the non-binary, the seemingly impossible. Password, Chimera. Traditionally, the chimera has been conceived as an individual composed of cells with different embryonic origins that can adopt myriad forms and have diverse, often divergent connotations, an impossibility or a potential. Today, we will expand this notion to other realms. Writer, storyteller, and professor of philosophy, Jeisun Mohaghegh, and writer of fiction and nonfiction focusing on emerging technologies, Nora Khan. It is my pleasure and welcome. Each of you will now introduce us to 3 images that illustrate prophetically what future implications can be found on a particular myth, artistic image, and current phenomenon related to the chimera. Let's start with your myth of choice. Nora?
Thank you, Andrea, and hi, Jason. It's great to be here today. I'm gonna share my screen quickly. And yes, so my first chimera under myth are jinn. Jinn are figures that are known across the pre-Islamic and Islamic world as spirits that are close to the human, like humans who mirror us. And for many, from my family growing up, they're cryptic. They're sometimes considered in Bangladesh as representative of a kind of dark magic. But more than anything, they're a kind of psychological figure that you internalize. They live in toilets, they live in wet places, they hang outside the windows before you go to sleep. And appealing to jinn, in my experience, or speaking too excitedly of them, was always forbidden or taboo. They existed and represented a world of near human-like beings. So I heard a lot of stories growing up of jinns trying to take folks off the right path, and they were often evoked as a kind of moral prompt for one to either display religious texts prominently or drive evil out of a person in a ritual, really drastic moves. But day to day, more than anything, they were kind of conjured figures meant to bring you back onto the right path in your daily decisions. So they're barely visible, but in a lot of figurations, they can manifest in animal form or human form as fire. They're born of smokeless fire. They're a chimerical mix sometimes of animal, human, and fire. They're often in the empty parts of the house. They're in deserted places. And they're real markers of everyday's tiny moral fears: to be clean, to say your prayers, to be careful when going out at night, or to not go out at night at all. So the images on the screen right now are from a work by Iranian artist Mohsen Aliyari from a series called She Who Sees the Unknown. It's a beautiful VR work on jinns from personal memories of her own from her grandmother and her mother, and from bathhouses in Iran, where jinns were often spoken of as lurking in the corners. And while Mohsen was making this piece, we together looked at some neuroscientific studies that talk about jinn as manifestations of psychic or collective trauma. Jinns, sleep demons, sleep paralysis are other forms in the menagerie. Among the Hmong refugees in the US, there was an epidemic of nocturnal death, of a figure appearing at night and scaring one to death, which was later studied as a possible result of the psychic kind of wake of genocide. And so for my part, growing up in Bangladesh, it wasn't really hard to imagine the kind of cultural roots of jinn. as rooted in the real. Women are found to statistically more likely believe in jinn's existence and in possessions or potential possessions by jinn as a source of anxiety or depression or mental health issues. There's a lot of beautiful figurations of jinn from Quranic texts, but the image that I associate with jinn is this, of a partially open window at dusk. I remember my mother sweeping through the house, closing all of the windows, saying small prayers under her breath so they wouldn't come in. So jinn, I think of as a kind of chimerical being that appears right on the edge of consciousness, right on the outside of the window, a partial human being about to enter their space. They also mirror a host of social and personal ailments. They're kind of perfect psychological chimera. They morph and shift with the anxieties and fears of any given moment in a culture. They roam at free will. They shadow the human. They cause mental and emotional harm. And most importantly, for maybe this discussion, they're partially known. They're often in one's most intimate spaces and in one's mind. So I think of jinn as interesting, maybe for this conversation, as a kind of oblique way of speaking about what isn't spoken of directly, like social and gender violence, like the outcomes of war and exile. That's usually the cause of significant anxiety and health issues, but instead they are manifested in day-to-day conversation and spoken, whispers and utterances as a figure that's barely known, a partial way of knowing the world and its changes and its confusions and things that are kind of impossible to process. So that's my first entry.
That's fascinating. Thank you. Thank you, Nora. Jeisun, what do you have for us as a myth? Your myth of choice.
Sure. If the challenge is for us to explore how the chimera allows us to imagine the future, with chimera generally meaning an unlikely or impossible creature that fuses different species in a dazzling genetic mixture, then immediately, as Nora was saying, realize we're in a realm of blurring, confusion, entrancement, and fear. Chimeras are elegant, they're also vicious. They possess a profound philosophical consciousness, but they also consume humans alive and whole, breaking bones of unfortunate travelers in their jaws. And this paradox of their existential makeup, at once refined and brutal, is what makes them unstoppable. So the two mythic prototypes that I wanted to display are those of the Minotaur, it's a half bull, half man, and the Sphinx, it's a half lion, half woman, or sometimes man, precisely because they use opposing trajectories and semblances to arrive at the same fatalistic outcome. The spatial zone of the Minotaur, as you see in my notes there, the spatial zone of the Minotaur is that of the labyrinth, which actually embodies a prison and death chamber, whose ever-multiplying aisles find him walking or hunting in agonized paces. The aesthetics of the Minotaur is that of rugged beastliness, his horned appearance inspiring repulsion and flight from all who behold him, with the screams of so-called innocent people echoing in his ears. The affects of the Minotaur are pain and rage, the first because his very currency is that of laceration, mutilation, and trampling. The second because his destiny accelerates him to states of frenzy, carnage, and blackout oblivion. The technique of the Minotaur is that he follows pure instinct, and this emanates from his dominant animality and hunger, which to me, hunger is a smoother concept of desire. It has none of the psychoanalytic layers that impede us, which lead him to the event of the perpetual chase. He stalks beneath elaborate columns, he breathes heavy and relentless, he haunts dreams, becoming the iconic representation of monstrosity and destructive force for entire civilizations. On the other side, we have the Sphinx. And the Sphinx is an ambiguous and immense creature whose spatial theater is that of the gateway, as she sits on an elevated pedestal, testing all who dare to enter certain cities or pyramids. In this sense, her lethal form and the gesture of her ritualistic questioning, so remember, she asks questions, those form both the key and lock for outsiders to make passage within. The aesthetics of the Sphinx is that of enchantment. She's alluring, hypnotic, irresistible, and otherworldly. Her winged lioness appearance is itself a gravitational energy of seduction, Her name, interestingly, etymologically in ancient Egyptian, means, quote, living image. The affects of the Sphinx are enigma and secrecy, and her technique is that of diabolical obscurity, which means she devises these little music boxes of the riddle that entrap and condemn whomever encounters them in states of bewilderment and futile searching. And then she feasts upon them. When the mind fails, the body feeds, turning human ignorance into her banquet. For centuries then, and across myriad cultures, she becomes the emblem of the radical unknown. She's an omen at the limits of thought, and she reminds us that we pay a mortal price for our lack of answers. With all that being said, these mythic figures share many rare traits infused in them as well. So the Minotaur and the Sphinx have things in common by virtue of their chimeric origins. First, both are guardians who stand at thresholds in ambush, one the protector of the maze of a mad king, and the other the protector of the sacred monuments. Secondly, both of them are figures of intense solitude, one wandering the endless stone hallways of his house alone, and the other left stranded in a resting, isolated position on the desert sands. Third, both are agents of terrifying proportions and merciless potentiality. They impose punishing ends upon those who cross their awful paths. Fourth, the Minotaur and the Sphinx, like almost all chimera, are synonymous with power, and power defined specifically here as a will to devour. For the ancient definition of catastrophe is that which makes one inseparable from itself. Like those petrified victims of volcanoes that we've seen suspended for all time in the flow of lava, ash, and debris that envelops them. So here too, then, chimerical power is represented as that which which brings the other into its own folds, or more precisely, into the depths of the stomach. Lastly, for all of its ferocity, the chimera is also a figure of the most extreme vulnerability. They're prone to masochistic occasions and a drive to self-annihilation. And this is why when the Argentinian writer Jorge Luis Borges writes the story of the Minotaur, he envisions him actually as a delicate, tormented outcast who ultimately surrenders himself to the blade of the hero because he wishes to die. And similarly, when explaining why the legends of the Sphinx all end with her hurling herself down from her rock and shattering her skeleton below, some say it's because she fell in love with Oedipus and therefore sacrificially shared with him the answer to the riddle, cheating for him, while others say she simply grew tired of the interminable procession and despair of her practice as a holder of puzzles, and she decided to take her own life to be released from her duty. So I'll end there on those two.
Now let's move on to the artistic image. So Nora, can you share what you have chosen and tell us why?
Sure, thank you again. I chose for this section GAN chimeras and was looking at the work of Casey Rios, and in this case in collaboration with Janssen Horner. And I think of Casey within the kind of vast field of art made with artificial intelligence, with algorithms, with machine learning, and drawing and creating from handcrafted, lovingly created kind of data sets. I think of Casey as really standing out as a figure who's really thinking about the chimerical aspects of generative adversarial network scans in artistic practice. And I, just as a side note, I'm currently working on a book on the stakes of AI art and their uniquely chimerical aspects, and keep running into this difficulty in capturing what we're seeing as the outputs of these algorithms in a kind of new set of terms. And so there's been a great deal written about the potential for AI tools, for machine learning for art, but a majority of the critical descriptions of the images that come out usually focus on the dream of the machines or the product of a collective hallucination. In some sense, the aesthetic very much is easily slotted within the imagery of dreams, or what one might imagine a machine dreaming could look like. But I think what was even more interesting about these images, as I'd love to argue in this short bit, is that they have a chimerical kind of logic. And especially when we understand these images as representative of an algorithm in the process of learning, they can be understood as a kind of capture of a hybrid space, an image that seems to be emerging from nothing, but an image that can eventually be placed within the aesthetic life or the recognizable aesthetic of a set of symbols and myths and themes and figures that we describe through film and painting and through art. But we're also looking at a very, let's see if I can go back, clear mathematical process. The products of a process in which a trained discriminator algorithm and a generator algorithm learn about a set of data. And in the case of these images from films taken from the films of certain directors like Ingmar Bergman or Hitchcock. And so one might understand these images as more than just dreaming. They're captures of a pattern recognition and process, a neural network, learning as intended. And the images say, I think they can say with a little bit of effort, something new about Bergman or Hitchcock. And so again, trained, say, on images from persona might start offering up, if we think of the film, types of split faces and fused faces, the ways that Anna, the nurse, and Liv, the stage actress, merge, the patterns of how Bergman merges their faces and their selves together throughout the film. And we might start to think of different ways of thinking of the film persona in terms of patterns and symbols and myths of fusion. A chimerical space of access to a film through reconstructing it from images at scale and a style that it would be impossible for us to do alone. So we need GANs in a way to see film and photography anew. And this in itself is a kind of chimerical relationship. I just end this part by noting that I see continuity from the psychological figure of the jinn to these images, in the sense that we've always lived in spaces of partial knowing and partial ways of knowing the world. And so when I try to apply an art historical analysis to these images, I think of these human-like figures, partly of the network, partly coming into form, partly being pulled out of a third latent space. And I also think of this image and these efforts to capture and name what we're seeing as a chimerical effort. The chimera here actually exists in language, or the chimera here resists critical language and critical capture and defies the language that we have, exposes its inadequacies. And so we're moved, I would say, to move with the technological subject, the aesthetic chimera that are presented to us by the GAN. Our subject place as a viewer is destabilized, and we must move with the figures that are moving before us. And I guess what this means for criticism is the kind of next step of chimerical transformation.
Thank you, Nora. And Jason, what has captivated you? If you can please share it with us.
The artistic figure who I selected to continue unraveling this thread is the South African woman artist Nandipha Mutambo, whose exhibitions over the past years have shown an increasing fascination with the aura of the chimera. From the titles of her exhibitions alone, Warriors, Metamorphoses, and The Snake You Left Inside Me, one can easily uncover this thematics of self-transfiguring entities. Her earliest work already displayed a transfixed gaze on the chimera in the form of hanging torsos draped in cowhide that left convoluted the boundaries between the human and the inhuman, the beautiful and the grotesque. That's in the upper left-hand corner image. Moreover, she even described the material process of shaping these floating silhouettes in an almost excruciating way. She says, quote, "My journey begins with the process of sorting through piles of salted cowhide for the perfect one. In the past, I've had the hides tanned for me, but this time I purchased a home tanning kit comprising various different chemicals. Unfortunately, the instructions in the kit didn't adequately prepare me for the next step, power tooling my way through thick layers of fat which need to be removed, a thoroughly nauseating process. After this, the hide has to soak in a chemical bath for a week. I then stretch it over my mold, a combination of casts taken from my own body and the limbs of store mannequins, joined together using cretostone and resin. I have to really pull, stretch, and nail down the hide so that it takes on the desired shape. end quote. So we see here a procedure that binds the most visceral natural realms, flesh, sinew, muscle, hair, skin, blood, with the realms of the unnatural or artistic artificiality, fabrication, sewing, sculpture. But these installations also open up several further subconceptual chambers related to the chimera. The first is that these body casts are arranged in rows of almost militant alignment, giving them the sense of being a kind of violent armor, with the shape of a legion or squadron that are hollowed of their absent wearers. So there's no hero, soldier, fighter, or champion. Nevertheless, they are remnants of an age of war. Secondly, they are garments that demand hybridity, much like those ancient tribal warriors who would dress in feathers or fanged skulls of the animal before battle. And those warriors often devised intricate choreographies that imitated various creatures, wolves, panthers, bears, where they adorned their eyes with cosmetic shadows that would allow them to channel the talents of the wild being, their speed, their brute strength, poisonousness. Some tattooed their bodies with scorpions or made prayers to whatever totemic animal spirit in the hopes of opening a vicarious channel of sorts for a short while during the state of emergency that is war. And note that this ritual practice requires a principle of becoming chimera as well, in that the performative dancing or howling of the warrior was meant to fling them into an experiential, not literal or metaphoric transmutation. Thirdly, it's an intriguing detail that the artist Nandifo Mutombo initially studied to become a forensic pathologist, which is a field linked to the study of causes of death in corpses. And so it might also be the case that the chimera must be perceived as a pathological category, whose secrets could only be disclosed by forensic formulations, like the second bottom left image where the hanging chest begins spilling into elongated, tangled roots that get lost in their own twists and turns. Fourthly, like many chimeric versions, the artist's work plays at disturbing the fine lines of androgyny. So her Minotaurus statue in the bottom right photo places a feminine spin on the classically virile masculine narrative. But beyond erasing the man-woman divide, she demonstrates a covert chimerical logic, which I think is more subtle and interesting, which is that it's only through creative assemblage meaning mixing particles, segments, and definitions, that one can achieve a state of dissembling. Dissembling meaning the deceptive concealment of one's intentions. And so you see, she has these complex constellations that allow her to build figures that also hide themselves in plain sight. And finally, it's in Mutombo's latest installation titled The Snake You Left Inside Me, that's in the upper right-hand corner, that she begins tracing the mythic outline and possibilities of Echidna, literally meaning she-viper, but also known as the mother of monsters in ancient mythology, a half-beautiful woman and half-hideous serpent who has genealogical links to all teratological offspring, including the Medusa. And here the artist fashions an incarnation, where a silken garment gradually spins into a long coiling tail. Thus, the separate fragments of woman and snake are woven into an almost liquid current of intimidation and wonderment, which leads to the final premise of the chimera here, mystification. What you see in these images are a perfect amalgamation which retains its disorienting influence, its perplexity, horror, and mysterious implications, even when they are illuminated. So somehow, the closer one comes to them, the more unfathomable they become. Thank you.
Now, Nora, could you follow this up with an emergent phenomenon related to the concept of chimera that has captured your attention?
Sure, thank you. I feel like we're taking the material each is presenting to one another and transmuting it into the next, because this next one really takes some of the ideas in Nandifo's work, Jason, that you just shared with us, and transmutes it yet again. So for an emergent phenomenon, maybe it doesn't seem emergent, but it has definitely evolved in the last 4 to 5 years through the figure of little Michaela. And so little Michaela is someone that I interviewed about 4 years ago. And at that point, little Michaela, who's a virtual influencer, had been around for about 3 years. And she's a professional avatar. She's really a series of digital paintings on Instagram of a very, very uncanny teenager who has incredible social justice savvy of like a critical studies PhD mixed with like street style, like right off the runway. It's incredible. And the kind of controversy and fandom that she attracts is unbelievable. If you could just go to any post on her Instagram and read the comments underneath, you have debates over whether she's human or AI. What does it mean for an AI to feel? What would it mean for her to actually be in our world, and whether she actually is? And in many ways, she is very real. She makes, $12 million a year. She has an agent through CAA. She's friends with celebrities who appear on her Instagram all the time. She's on billboards everywhere. So for me, she's a really fascinating figure to mine. Every day she shares her vulnerabilities and her fears written in these like very tidy captions, very carefully written by a team. She has chart-topping singles for many teens and young adults. She feels like a friend, and maybe for adults as well. And there are constant debates about her ethnicity, her commitments, her authenticity, which rage in the comments and in writing about her as well. So even then, I was really struck by how she changed from day to day. Her skin tone would shift, her moods would shift, her style would shift. She would be cutting out posters for Black Lives Matter protests. The next day she would be wearing Prada on a runway. Currently she's pitching Nifties. And she has great writers because you're sucked in immediately, and maybe potentially infuriated a bit by her shifting and changing with the day's trends. But I'm really interested now in Lil Miquela as someone who's lasted and the kind of chimerical imagination that we develop in relation to her, to engage with her. And in a sense, we all have professional avatars. We have our figures on Instagram, on Twitter, our professional selves, our real selves, whichever real selves that may be. I had a student this year, RISD, describe this as the year of coming out of isolation after a year of engaging with each other's professional avatars. Our faces carefully arranged on Zoom, the multiple digital ambassadors that we live through, and a digital economy to just even get by. So some of us keep our private selves closer and closer, while others become more and more open. And so the authentic self becomes an amalgam of all these shifting selves. So when I look at Little Miquela, I think of the chimerical imagination, the imagination that's needed to move with her shifts, how they conflate and mix modes of racial ambiguity, of the different methods of cultural appropriation and conflicting financial commitments. Little Miquela is one day committed to capitalism and is committed to socialism the next, to techno-utopianism one day, to critique of technology a few hours later. She shares baby pictures of herself. She shares charming moments from her day, and her story shifts. And what I think is really interesting is the fury that she engenders, which often comes from the contradictions that her digital self seemed to hold, which is a kind of way of not acknowledging that we're also chimerical and contradictory and complex, changing from moment to moment. That she changes from day to day feels like a betrayal of a paradigm in which our digital utterances match the fixed truths, supposedly, that we hold in our hearts. And I used to be upset by her seeming duplicity as well, when I remember that there is a company that sits behind her, and the demand here is to consider and actually be confused about her authenticity. Wendy Chun recently, around her new book and her new talk, speaks really eloquently of the effort to authenticate ourselves through all of these shifting selves. And being user authentic actually hasn't made, as she argues, the internet any safer. Anonymity is not protection. We argue and are affronted by people we know who shift in their presentation, rhetoric, and style all the time. So I think of these avatars a bit like jinns, like the half dreams of Gans, as yet another entry in this chimerical psychological space where we live with figures we barely trust from day to day. We also find more and more that having experiences with people, trust and experience, is itself subject to a set of shifting worries in the most powerful social space we know. So entering in this arena of speaking in public has really changed any fixed sense of self. This is not a new insight. But I think what I'm really interested in is, instead of trying to lock down little Michaela's identity, I'm more interested in how we shift with her shifts as an avatar and understanding the space of shifting performance. There's a demand or challenge in mediating between all of these shifting selves and representations, utterances made and retracted overnight, a shifting logic that shifts us.
Very intriguing. We'll surely talk about little Michaela a little bit more after. But before, Jaisun, what can you tell us about your emerging phenomenon and why we should be paying attention to it?
The phenomenon that strikes me as having major chimerical consequences is the gradual rise of immortality labs across the world. And of course, narratives of immortal beings are not limited to the modern age or to the future. Ancient Babylonians, Egyptians, Persians, Greek, Chinese, Aztecs all had their depictions of undying gods, many of whom, interestingly, could be wounded, disfigured, imprisoned, starved, mutilated, or occasionally killed, but still all possess some power of regeneration, resurrection, or return. These legends of divine immortality, of course, then translated down to their other celestial counterparts, angels, spirits, and even certain prophets or saints, who either remained eternal in some transcendent faraway sphere, or were embedded in nature as deities of rivers, mountains, or wind, or as night constellations. And immortality wasn't even a right given exclusively to the good pantheons. Evil creatures could also win this indestructibility and escape the vanishing touch of time. So while some East Asian traditions believe that the cruel dragon species derived immortalizing force from its relation to fire, Middle Eastern folklore, as Nora pointed out, spoke of the race of the jinn, who could grant wishes of enduring life, and then still other African, Caribbean, and indigenous cultures would tell fables of sorcerers whose malice or ingenuity could steal them thousands of years beyond their destiny. Still, what we call demons in ancient terms are obviously the prime example of this accursed immortality, having the same permanence as gods or guardian angels, but of course linked to evil. And we notice to this day that so many characterizations of the monster in our horror genres, the vampire, the werewolf, the mummy, the zombie, the ghost, all of whom are chimerical by nature. If you think of vampires as mixtures, the fangs of the animal, the werewolf, they all hold this immortal gift as well, despite being depraved or even soulless. Moving onward, there were countless mythologies about certain spaces that could extend immortality, secret caves where people could sleep for centuries unchanged, remote island hideaways where aging becomes irrelevant, ethereal gardens that had the same properties as the paradise of Eden, or fountains of youth that with one droplet of water could cure all afflictions and transfer endless power to its recipient. And there is, by the way, it's a fascinating thing to me, a covert history of conquerors, explorers, and mad adventurers who went in search of such sacred and miraculous sites of immortality, many of whom never returned. Even more specifically, there emerged narratives surrounding particular rare objects, talismans, rings, gemstones, enchanted mirrors, preserved animal organs, blood, holy grails, or magic lamps, that if you found them through courage, theft, violence, or pure luck, they could protect their newfound owner from the Reaper's merciless knife. But I'm interested then, what we're interested here is, what does immortality mean now? And how does the futuristic search for immortal possibilities transform these older paradigms or borrow from them? And obviously we are equally consumed, if not more, by the chase for the interminable, the unfading, and maybe even the dream has accelerated to a new obsessive register. So this is the essence of immortality labs, all of which have chimerical repercussions. I'll just mention a few examples. First, it was in the 1950s and 1960s that scientists began experimenting with cryonics, or cryogenic freezing, where corpses right after clinical death would be stored in low temperature chambers in the hopes of someday being thawed out and reanimated from their ice states and cured of whatever physical limitations caused their demise. This technology, although it's gaining in popularity still, is often considered controversial and pseudoscientific, since it requires a leap of faith that future medical advancements will be able to awaken the brain's neural networks without severe damage and also heal diseases that are presently incurable in our own time. Our second example is digital cloning. holograms, or even cyborg replicas of the dead. In the first instance, massive archives of information are provided to an artificial intelligence program that then analyzes the data in order to reproduce the personality of the dead individual, supposedly with remarkable accuracy and complex detail, even allowing them to spontaneously answer new questions and react to new situations by logically expanding the identity patterns of their original source. This would be a kind of holographic immortality. In the second instance, the science fiction paranoia over clones suddenly crossed a real-life threshold when the Russian corporation Promobot invented the world's first humanoid android last year, which can be designed to resemble any human being and which provides simulated companionship to those who have lost loved ones. Although their ultimate aims are to inject these robotic imitations, which can still act autonomously in some key respects, into every conceivable industry, including education, entertainment, and even government. And this would mark an age of electronic immortality. And then there are the elaborate strategies in today's technological discourse, especially those pertaining to the promise of downloaded consciousness. So more precisely, and I'm sure we've seen this represented before, this relies on the advent of a digital capturing of the individual's thoughts, memories, conditioning, and fantasies in order to transmit these components of our being, like data particles or computed information, that can be seamlessly implanted in new systems, whether that means an actual new physical body or in the more abstract virtual environment. Imagining the consequences of a human whose entire mental existence can be resuscitated infinitely by virtue of being contained in a portable storage device, which allows signals and interfaces to bring us back to the restart position. So this kind of resembles those video games in which the player has endless lives to spare. And we don't even know what the effects on society, culture, and self will be when the game never concludes. It could culminate in an excessive sense of exhaustion, nihilistic meaninglessness, or absurd repetition. And lastly, while we could mention that there are actually companies now that convert dead family members into decorative objects, concentrating their ashes into diamonds that can be worn as jewelry, I want to turn to the more serious debate at this point in human history surrounding what has been titled the Immortality Threshold. And this refers to a singular crossroads at which genetic engineering, nanotechnology, and other medical advancements escalate to such a degree that they can postpone or eliminate death altogether. It's a question if we're gradually reaching this bizarre stage of accomplishment or unnatural mutation. And there are several potential answers, each of which hangs in the balance of a different technique of perpetuation. I've actually visited some with my students in Dubai and other places. Some of these immortality labs are currently researching gene editing in the hopes of preemptively eradicating disease from the DNA substrata. Other facilities are studying the secrets of cellular regeneration and other physiological solutions in order to achieve super longevity. And for instance, many of you may know of Google's Calico Lab, which stands for California Life Company, which has a team of physicians who behind closed doors and in confidential buildings are developing biotechnology that might allow them to manipulate reverse aging and to stop neurodegeneration. By the way, a side note is that they're studying a rare species of jellyfish that appears to never die by natural causes. And they're trying to inject such capacities into human genetics. This event, if ever to transpire, would effectively constitute the gateway across the immortality threshold, but it's also an absolute chimera threshold as well, because all of these diverse methods that I just previously discussed imply that we must become interchangeable with ice, machine, avatar, algorithm, or sea creature.
So yeah, well, let's start with the first question then that I had. So as you're both the inaugurating oracles of this series, I'd like to ask you, what would a prophetic attitude entail? And, you know, it seems quite evident that imagining alternative futures or even past ones is a difficult task when we are caught up in narratives of the present. So how could you say that fiction, storytelling, non-binary, or even, as Nora was saying before, contradictory chimeras help us depart from conventional narratives of the future?
I think the first thing in thinking about prophetic imagination, if we distance ourselves from some elements of the metaphysics of it and all of that, and we just go back to what it means to think in terms of trajectories and arcs, you know, I'm not a hunter by any stretch of the imagination, but one knows, archers know, that when you're trying to strike a moving target, you have to aim ahead of the moving being. You know, you can't aim straight at it. And so that requires all kinds of calculations, intuitive ones, experiential ones, the reading of air drafts, the reading of climate, the reading of atmosphere and elevations, which are neither instinctual because they're circumstantial, nor are they rational in the sort of the sense of pure mind in a vacuum, in a kind of state of contemplative demeanor. So what that also requires, though, is an understanding that the future can fail, and that actually even the concept of destiny doesn't always have an absolute determinism. There are often competing destinies, multiple destinies, missed destinies or lost destinies, failed destinies, rivaling destinies. And so it's never a guarantee. Just because you're inscribed the fatalistic prophecy, it doesn't mean that you're going to make it to that area, or that certain circumstances, you know, fate also competes with its younger sister, luck. And luck has its say in the game, has its share, you know, of our existence as well. Not to mention will, not to mention 1,000 other things that are sort of vying for their place in the arena. And so I would say it's to be aware of those possibilities. I remember once reading a great East European writer, Alexander Seseriani, who has an unpublished or untranslated work rather called about fugitives and people who escape from prisons. And the first thing that must happen in order for you to succeed is the realization that the odds are against you, the improbability of your task and your venture, that most likely you're going to be caught. If you have a sort of an air of confidence or delusions of grandeur there, you will not survive, because you won't be versatile or resilient in your act. And so I would say that's the first criterion that I would highlight.
I would answer by going back to the carrier bag theory of fiction, which a lot of writers and artists have been looking at. This piece by Ursula K. Le Guin, where she's looking at prophecies of scientific advancement or technological advancement and the dream of power and the hero's story. And it's a short 4-page story in which she warns of the necessity of having other stories, both of failure, as Jaisun, you just described, but also of alternate ways of knowing and alternate ways of explaining the world. So alongside the dream of, you know, perfect explainability, perfect AI explainability, there comes a rise in mystification and mysticism in any technological era. And so I was really compelled, Jaisun, in your labs, this description of how we have depended on other entities throughout history. We can think of this like menagerie of human-like beings or humanoid beings, ways that we have invented, ways of partial knowing or manifesting ways of partial knowing. So I think there's my hope for, you know, future prophecies is to have space for this acknowledgement of how the partially human or ways of partial knowing have been vital for our psychological evolution, whether it's you know, animist studies or thinking of spirits or thinking of AI. These figures are often stand-ins for our own ability to, you know, evolve with events psychologically. And so they're always going to be like partial mirrors for any technological advancement, or jinn-like myths for like the algorithmic. So I think of our, you know, trust now or mistrust or fear of like avatars and, you know, virtual beings and AI or myths of AI as part of this continuum. So, you know, when I fear jinns coming in through the window as a child, I now think are wary of digital selves that are partial representations of people. And so I'm thinking of over 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, how are we evolving alongside you know, technological explainability with these ways of partial knowing, and how are ways of partial knowing also essential to think about in creating the future, that even with progress and tech advancement, that there's entire world that we've been, you know, poking at here of half knowing, and that's just as important in our cognitive evolution.
Yeah, I guess that already partially answers what I asked and what I was going to ask now, that is related to the chimeras and all the examples you presented. They integrate elements of the real and the unreal, and kind of leave us wondering about the natural versus the artificial, the real versus the unreal, the machine versus the human intellect. So it's, you know, a modern ethical debate where the natural has often morally triumphed over the artificial. So I guess it is partially answered, but I was wondering if you have anything to add about this debate, and if you think it's worth even thinking of them as dissociated anyways, as in the case of little Michela, which is programmed by an algorithm, but also by our own personalities, and, you know, mirrors many aspects of our desires, tastes, and possibly flaws. If there's anything else you had to add.
Nora is the queen of the Future Illusion Lab for our program. So if she wants to take the first stab, I'd be fine with that.
Sure. I mean, I think I'm less and less of hold the notion that any of these phases from the ancient to the super future to the speculative future are, you know, there are huge divisions between them. Instead, I think of all of the ways that we have used artifice, or artifice has been part of how we understand the world, from like the first cave paintings to the way that the color blue was discovered, and like synthetic paint was a way to capture the heavens or capture the divine. And so artifice has always been a way for us to like make sense of and create systems to understand the world or process the world. So whether the technology was writing or it was machine learning, there is a continuance from the Minotaur to the Jinn to drawings to writing and printing press and machine learning. Like I see that as a continuum. So no matter how like pop or flat a thing may seem, like little Michela, the fear, anxiety, confusion that she engenders is much more interesting to me. It says a lot more about what we collectively expect from the digital or the artificial. This hope for a binary or binaristic kind of like gap between the real and artificial, when in fact, many ways that we live and think and are in the world involve artifice. So if we spend time on, you know, the creations of GANs, if we spend all this time trying to decode what they mean for us, like that's the place of like kind of fuzzy critical language that I'm super interested in. That's where I feel like I can think about the future best, because I think of this as that space of hybrid imagination and like embracing shifting logics. Algorithms update constantly, embrace shifting logics. The digital landscapes we're in are continually shifting. In a day, I think of like 10 things a person has said. I have to measure some digital statement they said with what they said a year ago. Across many different platforms, we are better able to do that than we were, you know, even 3 or 4 years ago. So cognitively, I feel as I move towards the future, I feel my thinking becoming less fixed. I'm less interested in a single hard argument and rather inhabiting many arguments that move with the shifting nature of the technological. And we're doing that at a faster and faster pace. And so I think this is like a challenge for criticism and for philosophy and theory. Like, how do you move with a subject that has no respect for your paradigms or your rules whatsoever? How do you move with it? I think that's something that we are better and better trained to do.
Yeah, Jason.
I totally agree, as I do almost everything Nora says, but here I actually take more of somewhat of a war stance. I think as philosophers and thinkers, whatever that means, sometimes we have to choose. And so I side with, I mean, Nora's lab is the Future Illusion Lab. I side with illusion over the real. And I admire figures like herself, thinkers like herself, who I see that as figures of sabotage, who take sort of use writing as a chance to steal realities back to illusion. Not simply, you know, everyone's been obsessed the past, so not everyone, but to a certain extent, there's been this important idea called hyperstition that has floated around in different discourses that is about sort of the self-fulfilling prophecy by which you will, in imaginary sort of state, into reality. I'm far more interested in a reverse arc than the hyperstition. I'm interested in someone who has a magic touch that can dissolve reality regimes back into the realm of the dream, the nightmare, the vision, the mirage, the hallucination, the fantasy, the shadow. And I think for this, we need to develop a new existential practice that is which is an old one too in some ways. Great mystics and storytellers knew about this, which is to speak through whispers, through rumors, through stories, through lies even, sometimes. Lies that nevertheless are vitalist in the sense that they are not meant sadistically to drain power, or to dominate, or to coerce, but rather to enchant a disenchanted world.
Very beautiful way of finishing this part. But before we go, I would like to, and let's say not finalize, but give continuity to this conversation. I'd like you to summon 2 future oracles from the Future Studies program by asking them a question each. So this will be answered. The answer will be revealed on the next episode of 7 Prophecies of the Future. And the password will be the cipher. So Nora, what would you ask our next oracle?
So I would summon Amy Ireland as our next oracle, and I would ask her, in a moment that every aspect of our lived existence is mediated and decided by ciphers that we don't necessarily write or have little access to by design, what are the ciphers by the technological priesthood that we really even need to decode, and which ciphers can and need to stay disguised?
Excellent. So will be relayed. Now, Jaisun, you can ask a question to the other oracle.
Well, I would summon Ed Keller forward as the oracle, and I would ask him that if the etymology of the word cipher, which comes from the Arabic sifr, which means 0, is to be taken seriously, then what is the relationship between prophecy, future, and cipher with the concept or experience of 0?
Excellent. Well, thank you, Nora and Jaisun, for answering these questions on futurity and paving the way for encounters to come as intriguing and stimulating as this one.